Good evening, baseball fans, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first ever video and first ever time on YouTube, and I'm happy to start this channel and have an opportunity to be able to share my card collection with everyone. Like many of you, I've been inspired over the last few years by watching much of the content that I've seen on the web about the baseball card hobby and baseball in particular, which has been a passion of mine for many years. I've been thinking about starting a channel for several years at this point, and it got to the point where recently I acquired a card where I'm like, it's now or never, where I'm going to be able to do this. So I'm really pleased to be able to introduce my channel, The White Sox Fan Card Collector. During the course of my time posting content, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite White Sox baseball cards and some other baseball cards, as I have several projects that I'm working on within my hobby. During this time, I hope to tell several stories about how I acquired the card, what I like about the card, what I like about baseball, and may even venture into some other sports that I have dabbled in throughout the years and continue to be big fans of, such as football and soccer and basketball. So for tonight's video, and I welcome you again to my channel, I recently picked up this 1952 Bowman Minnie Minoso rookie card. This was not a card that I anticipated ever having in my collection until just last Saturday night, so about a week ago. I was over with a friend's house and we were watching a movie, and I just happened to go onto my phone and I was looking on eBay, and I saw that this card was coming up for auction fairly soon. And as I looked at it, I was like, okay, well, let me throw a bid in here. I think it's a random bid, probably not going to win it, and we've probably all been there, and lo and behold, I actually did win the bid. And it's always funny because it's never the card that you're actually really trying to grab. It's always one you're like, let me just throw a bid in at the last minute. And you're like, oh crap, I actually did get it. So one of the projects I've been working on for the last couple years now is trying to get a baseball card from each and every Hall of Famer. Now I know that's a project that I'll never complete in my lifetime, because there's going to be many cards that are just scarce, rarely available, and bloody expensive. Whereas others, there's going to be easily obtained. So what I first did is I started getting White Sox players. So I started getting a card from each and every White Sox player. And I tried to do it within my budget. So it doesn't mean I'm always going to get like the best conditioned or the most expensive card in each and every player. But when I can, and when I'm able to afford it, I'm going to try and get the player's rookie card. Now, so for Minnie Minoso, he has two rookie cards. He has one from the 1952 top set, and he has one from the 1952 Bowman set. The 1952 top set card has gone up a lot since he was inducted into the Hall of Fame just last month. And I was able to pick up the card for Bowman just a week ago at a much more affordable price than I would have gotten the Topps card in a similar grade. What I like about this Bowman card is it's still in the smaller format that they used before they started going with larger cards, which is kind of something that they stayed consistent with through about 1948, when they reintroduced baseball cards to the hobby, to about 52 before they actually had to innovate and change based on the design and innovation done by the Topps company, who later obviously overtook Bowman after the 1955 Bowman set. So with this card in particular and with this player, Minnie Minoso, for many people probably have been able to have a chance to read about Minnie. Minnie was a local legend within the Chicagoland area. He didn't just play the ball here, he actually ended up retiring here and actually starting a family. So it was a player that I was very familiar with when I was a kid growing up here in the Chicagoland area. Now, I didn't know actually like how old he was, because all I heard was stories of him like playing like in the 1980s and the 1970s. So I thought he was probably a player that played during the 1970s and the 1960s. I had no idea he started his career in the 1940s. So it was kind of a weird story in that he's a player that actually started his baseball career in the 1940s, but didn't end it until 1980 because of Bill Veeck doing some promotions where he'd have him come back and pinch hit. There's a cool video on YouTube you can actually see when he actually came back in 1976. We actually got a base hit at an advanced age at that point. When he came back in 1980, he appeared in 2 games, batted twice, and didn't get a base hit. And I believe he even continued to have at bats even into the 90s in minor league games, just to kind of keep up to tradition. But the great part about Minnie Minoso is a player that was part of the fabled Go-Go White Sox here in the 1950s, which is a pretty popular team within the Chicagoland area. It was the first White Sox team to make the World Series since they were accused of, and many players were convicted of actually, like throwing the World Series in 1919. Well, actually, they were acquitted of doing it, but Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis still felt that there was enough evidence to actually have these players removed from the game for life. So that was a big deal when they returned to the World Series in 1940. And they didn't really return again to the World Series again until 2005, which I've been privileged enough to be able to see myself, and have been a big fan of many of the star players on that team in my lifetime. But the Go-Go Sox always had like a special place in my heart in the Chicagoland baseball community, because that was that first White Sox team that got back to the World Series after that huge absence of time. Even though they lost to the Los Angeles Dodgers, a lot of the players that played on that team are continuing to be like White Sox legends. So Minnie Minoso was a rookie card that I didn't have initially because he wasn't in the Hall of Fame, but it was one that I wanted to get because he was a really important player on the White Sox during that time frame. So I was actually more than thrilled to see that he actually got into the Hall of Fame on the Veterans Committee ballot this past January, along with some other guys that were long overdue to be able to get in. But again, I was not anticipating I'd be able to get his rookie card, and I think at that time I picked up an autograph instead, because I knew the prices would kind of go through the roof on a lot of his stuff because he was a newly inducted Hall of Fame member. So I was really excited to pick up this card and wanted to be able to kind of share it with the community. And I love that it's in an SGC holder because it just kind of makes it stand out like a work of art. Like many people have commented on within the community, the black matting within the card really makes it look like a piece of art. So I'll turn the card around just briefly so you get an opportunity to at least see the back of the card. And here we have the back of the 52 Bowman card. You can see it's a pretty basic design. When you look at the back of a 1952 Topps card, you can definitely see why they had to innovate with the 1953 Bowman color design and the Bowman black and white design, which I am a huge fan of, and I have a few cards that I'll be able to show in time. So that's kind of it for Minnie Minoso as far as like what I wanted to be able to share tonight. I do have a few other cards of his that may show up in my videos in the future. But as far as what I plan to do going forward is posting videos from time to time of new things that I've acquired, cards that have meant something to me as I've picked them up throughout the years, and there's been quite a few of them, and possibly talk about some things related to the hobby, related to baseball, and potentially some other interests that are part of my leisure activities that might be of interest to people in the community, but probably will be sticking mostly with the baseball, and we'll talk about some of the things that are even in this background of this video tonight in the future. So with that said, have a great evening, and I hope to talk to you soon.